Hey, Cancer Warriors, it's Tonya with Power Pantaloons Podcast, and today we have Emilie White, the Detox Queen, and I am so excited to have you on the show, Emilie. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here with you all.
So, what exactly does the Detox Queen mean? What is that all about?
It's basically detoxing your life from all the hidden toxic chemicals that are in our world today. Meaning it could be in your products that you use, put on your skin, the food that we eat, the air quality in our houses, all the above. It's amazing how much toxins are in our lives today.
Absolutely, and it's more so than ever before in our history, and how it impacts us as people, especially when it comes to cancer. When I was diagnosed 17 years ago, the odds of getting cancer was 1 in 3, and now it's 1 in 2, and that number has everything to do with environment and toxins. When they talk about being concerned about genetic cancers only account for 5 to 8% of cancers. The rest of it is environmental and toxins. So detoxifying your life is the best way to go about it. But we want to start small, right? Wait, like a little bit at a time, right? Is that what
Yeah,
you
don't want to
recommend?
overwhelm you.
Where would you start?
It really depends on the person. For me, what I can say is I was allergic to everything growing up as a child. So what I started focusing on, number one thing was my laundry detergent. That I broke out in hives. I felt like I was on fire all the time. Like my skin, it was so bad that I would cry all the time. And we had to think of
Oh, I think she froze. Okay, so
other options, which we were DIY, and it was just really easy to incorporate into my life because it then I started not having rashes and skin problems, and I wasn't crying anymore because I wasn't on fire. So you
so
start small. So if you get skin rashes, you could start with that. You could start with laundry. You could start with face creams. You could start with lotion. And then, or you could start with food. So it really just depends on the person what they want to start with first.
okay, so we missed most of that because you froze.
Oh, bummer.
You froze for about 20 seconds. Um,
Okay.
so we found out that you had hives, and how did you change that?
Right. So we had, what I was trying to say is I found DIY products that I can make from home that was very cheap that you can actually buy from the store. It contained maybe 3 or 4 items from the store, and we mixed it together, and that's what we decided to use as I was a kid growing up because everything else in laundry detergent was so chemical based. It was disgusting, and I hated being crying every day and feeling like my body was on fire, and
Yeah.
it was terrible. So um that's exactly what I did. But there's other things that you could do too. You could do DIY, but you can also do a lot of research and go and invest into small businesses. And there's a lot of better stuff out there now from when I grew up in the 80s than you know what I mean? I mean, there's a lot
I
better
do.
stuff. There's more less toxic stuff out there now than there was back in the 80s when I was growing up. So it was very difficult to find products that I could use growing up.
There are a lot of beautiful small businesses that really focus on paraben and sulfate free products and stuff that's actually the good kind of natural,
Yes.
because just because it says natural doesn't really mean anything, right? Like there's
Right.
no the FDA doesn't quantify that with any parameters. So any company can use it, and arsenic is natural. We're not going to go put that on our body on purpose, right? Or nightshade, or like there's a whole bunch of natural stuff out there that we wouldn't want to put in our body. So it's really very misleading, and they do it on purpose.
Yeah, they do. I mean, 100 chemicals could be just under that natural product name, you know?
Yes, yes.
Like
And
natural flavors. That's what I'm saying. Like natural flavors. There's like 100 chemicals underneath that just natural flavors word.
Yes, and if they have a fragrance blend in there that's proprietary, they don't have to disclose any of the ingredients in that.
No, so you really don't know what you're getting. And that's why I tell people to research because you really don't know what you're getting and they could put anything they want on the label.
They can. For a while I did have a soap and beauty brand, and the requirements that you're supposed to put on your label are very laid out.
Right.
Um, but the big corporations absolutely have ways around it, like making things priority. Oh my god, I can't even say it now. Proprietary,
Right.
and that frees them from having to disclose any of that to anybody, because it's a
Right.
big secret. And I think that that's garbage.
It's really sad. I mean, what I tell everybody is follow Europe. Look at them. We need a model after them. They're banning a lot of stuff that we need to ban already. It's amazing. They are so strict about what they bring into their country. We need to do the same.
Yeah, and I think it's an uphill battle because of capitalism and corporate greed and all of that. Like if you look at some of the big brands and the ingredient lists that they're allowed to use here and the ingredients that they have to comply with overseas, um, our labels are three times as long as their labels, and I'm sure cheaper to produce, right? Like, because that's really what it comes down to. And it's a
Right.
shame that the companies don't have the ethics to produce things that aren't killing people.
Oh, they do. They don't care. They don't care. They know they're making money. Same with doctors. They make money. They went to school to prescribe medication. That's what they're learned. That's what they were taught.
I
And
think I think a lot of doctors have good intentions, but they are
yes,
very buckled in under the laws that they have to follow. So when you talk to them about holistic treatment, they're really not allowed to talk to you about things that are not the current standard of care for whatever that is. Uh, but when I was going through like my journey, I absolutely sat down with my oncologist. I said, okay, I will accept your treatment of care. However, there will also be herbalism, flower essences, crystals, Reiki. Like he rolled his eyes at me and he's like, I cannot allow you to have herbs. And I said, why? He's like, because I don't want them to contraindicate the chemotherapy. And I'm like, that's precisely why I want to use it. The dosage of chemotherapy that they give you is so very strong, and it doesn't need to be that strong.
it doesn't. It really doesn't. I mean, they do it only because they want fast results and they want to kill the cells and they want to get the tumor out of there. I get that. But
the the difference, right? Like, so the difference between using a lower dose and the extreme dose, in rate of survival is like 0.01%. That's not the actual, but it's something in that ridiculously very small radius. So like why are we doing this for such a small margin of success? And it is really ridiculously small. The only answer I have to that is it's pharmaceutical greed.
it's money.
Yeah.
That's all what it comes down to is money. If they can make someone sick and then just scratch the surface and give them a little bit of medication that helps them a little bit, but then it's going to come back. That's how they're making their process because their money because they're making you come back and buying more products, buying more product. Oh yeah, this is working for like 6 months. Let's try something else, or let me get some more of that medication. And everybody's just relying on meds, and that's not the way to go anymore.
Oh, no, it never really was the way to go. And before we started the interview, we had a chat a little bit, and we were talking about Chinese medicine. I That's been around forever, right? And we used to have herbal schools in the US back in the 19 like 30s or 40s. Some big magnates decided that they were going to change it to the pharmaceutical model, as it were, and they made it illegal to teach herbalism. So they basically intentionally took that away from us.
Ridiculous.
And there's no reason why it couldn't have worked in tandem, because I do think allopathic medicine is important. I do think that there's absolutely life-saving medicines and techniques and stuff, right? But I do think that you have to do it holistically, mind, body, and spirit, and you can't just
Absolutely.
treat the symptom. You actually have to figure out what's going on. But if you do that, as you were saying, nobody gets paid if somebody's not sick. But
Right.
in the spirit of America, right? Like innovation is supposed to be what we're known for and what we're doing. If the pharmaceuticals can't revolutionize and change, why should they still be here? Like, isn't the whole point is to keep being innovative, to
Right.
find the better things? Why are we working with a broken, shitty model when we don't have to?
I have no idea. I really, I really don't know, but I think it's just money and greed and unfortunate
Yeah,
circumstance, you know?
it is.
And there's a lot
So
of good people out there. And I'm in Texas now. I reside in Texas, and we have a lot of holistic practitioners out here. So it's amazing. I would say definitely if you have a, physician or a regular doctor, that's great, but also look into a holistic um, practitioner as well. Get multiple, um, you know,
yes,
the word I'm trying to say.
yes, have a care team,
A
right?
multiple
Like,
option, a multiple
yes,
option. There we go.
yes, good.
Absolutely.
Don't leave your health in the hands of one individual. I mean,
No.
aside from yourself, you are the individual that should be holding your health in your hands, and that is everything from the toxins in your house to when a doctor gives you a treatment plan. You shouldn't just take it and not ask questions, right? You should
Right. And
definitely
you
do
need to
some
have,
research.
yeah, you definitely need research and you need to have the products that, so say like you are taking antibiotics or for some reason, that's going to really mess up your gut. So you're going to have to take fiber, you're going to have to take something for your gut microbiome, you're going to have to take digestive enzymes, you're going to have to research and take all of those things to help with your gut because it's going to mess up your gut. And your gut is like your second brain. So you
Yes,
need,
yes.
yeah, exactly.
And if you mess it up, it can take years to fix.
I've been going through that.
Me
That's
too.
a problem of mine. We have IBS that runs in my family. I've been having it for years, and I've tried everything. I've searched around, tried different things for my gut, and I finally found something that's working, and I'm very, very happy after all these years. I mean, I do look young, but I did turn 40 this year, and I've been searching forever for to get my gut microbiome right in the right section. And everybody's different. Everybody is different. You have to find your way. You have to find your correct, supplements to try, the what you need to eat, your own
Yes.
diet and everything.
Yes, I call it the holistic wellness blueprint, and everybody has their own. It's like a fingerprint, right? Like, not
Yeah,
everybody is interested in like, not everybody can handle the taste of kombucha, right? I think it's fantastic and it's a wonderful prebiotic, but it's vinegar drink, right? Like, not everybody can handle that. So,
I'm lactose intolerant, so I can't really have a lot of things which is kind of good because actually milk or dairy products we can't process them, so it's not really good for our bodies. But I can't have caffeine either. It gives me anxiety. It makes my heart race, and anything that prompts my heart to race or me to or to have caffeine in it, I can't. Or even natural caffeine, some of it does that, like chamomile, for instance, which is
yep.
weird.
I
I
I
can't
was
have that. I learned I can't have that for myself, for my body. I know it's good, but I just can't have it.
I was gonna say that there are herbs that do have natural caffeine in them. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, so it sucks. I mean, you're gonna have to be like testing yourself, your own body, and saying, "Oh, does this work for me or does it not?" That's what I've had to do. I've had to test everything too. And I finally found something that works with each one of my problems and my issues.
It takes time, right? Like,
It does.
but
It takes,
it's your
but you're never
life,
too
and
old. You're not too
right,
old. You can start now. You're not too old.
correct. Where whatever age you are, it doesn't matter, right? Like
Right. Hmm.
we are always evolving, and we every day we have the opportunity to be 1% better, right? Like by making small changes, because if you go
Right.
into it trying to do everything all at once, that is a recipe for disaster, because you're not going to stick to it. But if you pick it one item and then you change that one item, like for instance, stop drinking soda and
Oh
finding
yeah.
something else that you can drink, and eventually you won't be drinking soda anymore, and you
Right.
will realize that you don't even miss it. I stopped drinking soda 8 months ago.
I dropped.
Yeah.
Hello. I can't even get it out. I stopped drinking soda in 2001.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm over it.
Well, right. I mean, even the caffeine free stuff, all of the dyes and the whatever stuff they put into the syrups,
Added sugar.
the added sugar, absolutely. Like if you really need the taste of a soda, uh there's pine needles that you can create into like a Sprite type beverage, and sarsaparilla root that you can make into like a root beer. So there are ways around it. You can make a ginger bug and make like a ginger ale or a ginger beer type deal. And you know everything came originally from the herbs, the plants, right? So like,
Everything's here on Earth. Yes. All you gotta do is pick it. Go out front, pick it. All the herbs are there for you. Seriously, it is.
yeah,
It's all there
yeah.
for us to survive on.
I have always been messing around with herbs. I love them, and I would rather go make myself a cup of tea, like peppermint tea, for the headache, or whatever's going on. I'd rather just go make an herbal
Right.
beverage instead of going and grabbing some sort of pharmaceutical. And I
Or
mean,
get
my kids make fun of me for it,
a
but
humidifier and put eucalyptus in there. I
yep,
live on eucalyptus because I have major allergies, and moving to Texas was even worse. But but I literally live on eucalyptus all the time. I mean, just
yep.
anything. And
It's beautiful, and you could use it as the essential oil. You could drop a drop or two into your shower and give yourself a spa experience that helps decongest your entire self.
but it is alert. It is very. It's definitely. Why can't I think today? The words are just not coming in. It's highly toxic. There we go for dogs, which
Yes.
sucks. And I have a puppy, so I have to be really cautious because she's all around me. She licks me everywhere, and so I could do the steamer in the shower. That's totally fine. And then I can do. I can't do the plugins in the wall with the eucalyptus. I use lavender and orange and lemon, and there's a few more that I use now because you can't do tea tree oil either. You have to look in your environment. If you have a dog too, you have to be careful. So
Or
unfortunately,
cats or other animals, they're very sensitive to
yeah,
essential oils.
yes. I mean, there's essential oils that work for them. Don't get me wrong, but there are some that are toxic for them as well.
Absolutely. And and you shouldn't be putting them directly on your skin anyway. You should be putting them in a carrier oil.
Yes. Yep. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Same with plants, house plants. I know people like house plants, and I do too. I love them. They have ones to make you happy, to take all the bad auras out of your house, and the list goes on and on. But same thing. They're most of them are highly toxic for dogs, and mine's a puppy, and she'd probably be eating them. So
Lilies are very toxic to cats.
yeah,
So,
I can't
yes.
even. I love lilies. Don't get me wrong, but the smell, I can't do it.
No, I can't bring them in the house because my cats would die, because my cats really like to investigate and eat
Yeah.
things. So
Yep.
all of the plants in the house are cat safe.
Yeah, everything is, I'm all holistic. My dog's all holistic too. My last puppy, passed from cancer too, 4 years ago. I did 8 months of chemotherapy and figured out, nope, not going to do it anymore. Even though she was in remission, it just destroyed her body. And, um, and then I switched over to holistic therapy, and she lived for another 2.5 more years. So,
That's
I was,
amazing.
yeah, I was very happy with the outcome of that. But I mean, the chemo radiation, it just destroyed her. It was really sad. She
Like
was sick.
chemo and radiation destroys anything it touches, honestly.
It's too strong. It's way too strong. Yeah.
Yeah, my my last puppy. I mean, I have more puppies now, but my very first puppy as an adult, right? We had her about 5 years, and she ended up with a lump. Well, it started as a patch, but it turned into a lump. And I asked the doctor immediately, I'm like, please remove it. But it was in the middle of COVID, in the beginning of COVID, and he
Cool.
refused. And by the time that it was removed, it was too
It
late.
was
She
great.
was she was full of cancer. And I was very upset because I feel, and I still do feel, that if they had done the surgery immediately, we might still have her. And
I agree. I agree. That's devastating. I'm sorry you had to go through that. It's the worst.
yeah,
It really is.
it really, it's not the only cancer loss that I've had. And I know that you were telling me before we got on,
Me neither.
that you have lost your father to cancer. And I know how devastating that is. My father passed. He had cancer, but he didn't die of cancer.
Huh, interesting. Okay.
Well, and
I
that
mean,
happened.
it's
That
great that
actually
you didn't die from it, but still.
that happens a lot, actually, that you die from either the treatment or
Something else
as a
comes on.
result of
Mhm.
the chemo or the radiation. It affects your body somewhere else, and but
Right.
um yeah.
That's what happened to, not only, do animals don't live very long, which I don't think they should get cancerous or any kind of deadly diseases like this to make them die, because they they don't live very long, right? Um, so on top of, when my dog had cancer, she was also anemic. She also had liver failure. It's like, hello, just give her one thing. Like, can you just get one and not
Yeah.
pile in? So that's probably what happened to your father. He had all those pile up and ended like that. But yeah, that's what happens, is it piles up. Not just cancer, it gets this and this and this. And it's like, cancer is enough, you know?
Yes, it ended up being sepsis.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah.
And he's one of the older generation that wouldn't talk about pain, and so he was stubborn. And so when he started feeling pain, he didn't say anything, and it took them 2 days to
Oh,
find it, right?
yeah.
And so
You
so
gotta jump
yeah.
on that quick. That's what I've learned, is if you feel something and it's not right, because you know your body, you just, better safe than sorry. You just go get checked. That's all you got to do. Is just go get checked.
No, it's not all you have to do, right? Like, so
Right.
get checked, and if you're gaslit or you're told that there's nothing wrong, you persist,
Right.
because even though the doctor is an expert in whatever specialty they have,
Right.
you are an expert in you. And if you know there's something wrong with your body, you need to persist. And the reason that I say this, I know this, I'm still here because I persisted. There were no markers in my blood, which is uncommon. That's very uncommon. But the pap smear was fine. The ultrasound, the transvaginal ultrasound, something called a sonohistogram, where they inflate your uterus with saline and then image it. All of
Oh
those things came
yeah.
back fine or inconclusive. To find my cancer, they had to do a DNC.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And a healthy uterus is 4 ounces. And when they took mine out, it was over 10 pounds. So,
My goodness.
and the only symptom I had was a heaviness, like I felt bloated all of the time. And I knew that wasn't right.
Right.
So I eventually went to the doctor, and started figuring it out.
Wow. Yeah, yeah, you have to persistence. You need to keep going. If the doctor does, you're absolutely correct on that. You know, you need to get more opinions, and you need to do the research on your own and figure out what's wrong with you, because you know, obviously, your body, it's your body. You know, if you don't feel right, there's something has to be wrong, and there's something out there that could help you,
Our body is constantly talking to us. We've been conditioned to ignore it.
right? But we
But
just ignore it, and we don't
yes,
know. Sometimes we don't know. Also, it took me a while to understand my body too.
yes, but like the second you start listening to it, it actually acknowledges that and gets more talkative with you. Every
Mhm.
single one of us has experienced that thing where we walk into a room and we meet somebody and the hair on the back of our neck stands up. And then either days later or a century later, we find out that they were no good, right? Like our
Right.
body instinctively knew that, like there was something about it. We just knew. And you can nurture that. You can nurture that by listening every time your body tells you something, pay attention to it, acknowledge it, and investigate it, and then you can have this beautiful relationship with your intuitive self. And it
It's a beautiful
really,
gift. It's a beautiful gift.
it
Yeah.
is, and it's a gift we all have and that we can all develop and nurture. We just have to do it. As with anything worth having, we just have to put a little work into it.
Yeah, exactly. You do have to put a little work into it, but it's worth it. It's your body. You want to live in it. You only get it once. So,
Yes, yes. And you get to be a little grateful for the body that you have, even with all of its quirks and its things. And honestly, nothing gets you more grateful and fixes your priorities faster than the fear that you're gonna die.
oh my God, I know. It's
Yeah,
scary. It's
it's
really scary.
it is. It is. Like when I got my diagnosis, like she said, "You have cancer," and I didn't hear anything else that she said. It sounded like Charlie Brown's teacher, womp 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 womp, right? Like,
Right.
and a lot of other survivors that I talk to, whether I'm interviewing them or they're my clients, they they all say the same thing. It's like getting hit in the face with a 4x4 and you stop breathing.
Oh, yes. You're shocked. Oh my gosh, you never thought it would come or it would happen.
Even if you suspected it, right? Like even if you thought maybe that was what it was, the actual hearing it is
Right.
so traumatic, and we get no no help in that regards, right? Like it is a trauma, right? Like, and we can have PTSD from a diagnosis, and that's not that's not talked about. That's not like, I believe at the time I went to see a social worker like one time, and she goes, "Do you have any questions?" And I'm like, I don't know what to ask. And she's like, "Okay." And like you don't know what you don't know, right? Like there was zero help there, zero help in that regard, and it was frustrating.
Very frustrating. Extremely frustrating. Especially when they can't figure it out, like what you have. You have to go through tests, all these tests and prods and poked and um, like my mother, she has traumatic brain injury. And so, she gets
Mm,
different illnesses here and there too. And what she's going through right now, she was dehydrated for some reason, which is odd because my mom drinks tons and tons of water. And she fainted twice. And she has some more concussions. And we're figuring it out. And it took them like literally 3 months, like like a month and a half, maybe not 3 months, a month and a half to figure out like with doing all these testings and everything. Oh my gosh. Well, um, it was two different things. The first one was dehydration because she had an infection, and the second one was from what was the second one from? It was something about she wasn't absorbing anything like properly, so she needed to get electrolytes in her because she was drinking water, but I think it was too much because you can drink too much water and it's
You
even worse.
can, yeah.
So instead, and did you know if you drink electrolytes and then drink water, it counteracts. So you can't really drink regular water. So what you could do is drink your electrolytes. Then when you want to drink some water, all you have to do is put some Celtic sea salt in it to adjust the pH balance. And that's another option to have the electrolytes to keep drinking. Like if you didn't want to drink the electrolytes anymore, like the flavor or whatever gets boring, but you can't just drink water because unless it has the vitamins and minerals that you need in it, you know? And so that's what she was drinking. And now she's feeling fine. She's not like weak anymore, but she is suffering those concussions still. And it just sucks because it's like, why, when you go to the hospital and you're there for 3 days, how come they can't tell you what the heck it is? You're at the hospital and then they send her home. And now she has to deal with it at home. She couldn't get in with her practitioner, her doctor for like a week. And then they did testings, couldn't figure it out. Like, what the hell?
Our
You know?
healthcare system is broken. It really
Yeah.
is.
I'm
You
glad she
know,
wasn't there for a long time, in the hospital because you can catch other illnesses there. That's good. But like, don't just do tests and say, "Okay, we don't know, bye, pass you along."
that's super frustrating when that happens.
Like, yeah. So it's sad. After that, I was like, oh my gosh, that's really sad. That's really, really sad.
Frustrating. It's super, super frustrating when stuff like that happens.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We've gone in a whole big circle, and I'm like, where do we go next? What
I
else do
know.
we want to talk about?
I don't know. What else do you want to talk about?
What do you think is the worst toxin?
In my opinion, um, the worst toxin is bleach
Bleach. Why?
because you ingest it. It stays forever in your system if you ingest it. And it's crazy because if you just by ingesting it, it's like you're smoking 20 packs of cigarettes a day just from
Ooh,
one ingestion. Is
wow.
that nuts?
It
And
is.
I've never smoked and I never will, but that's what I grew up on. Comet in that green can that you would sprinkle. I used to put on gloves and scrub, and the tub, the toilets, everything. And that's what we use is bleach. It's so bad for you. I mean, incredibly bad for you. I mean, it does long-term effects, you know?
So instead of bleach, what should we be using?
What I use is distilled white vinegar. Does the same thing. You can't put it on every surface. I do actually have a list that I give out for it's 12 different products you can use for different surfaces, but it's all stuff you can do from home, and it only requires a few like ingredients you already have in your kitchen. The staple pieces I would recommend is essential oils, distilled white vinegar, lemon juice or lemon, baking soda, because baking soda you just put in everything, and Castile soap. Way better than, and this is soap that you could use for laundry detergent. It's multi-versatile. So it's better than Dawn dish soap because a lot of people use Dawn and it has highly toxic chemicals in it as well. So those are the staple pieces I would recommend for cleaning the house, anything. It's awesome.
Can you use the Castile soap in the dishwasher?
Yes, I believe you can. I also have, speaking of that, I also have another free ingredient of I believe it uses Castile soap. It has baking soda in it and another ingredient that you can use that I'm actually gonna make it and do it myself for the dishwasher. I don't particularly use our dishwasher because we have the saving energy dishwasher and we're on a septic tank, so we can't really put anything down our drains anyway. So this is kind of good. And we have to have all natural stuff anyway.
I
And
think
on the
the other
lowest,
I think the other ingredient is probably citric acid.
yes, it is. It's citric acid. Yeah. So,
Because
I mean, it's easy stuff. typically I don't have citric acid hanging out in my kitchen, but I mean I can go buy it at Walmart or whatever for a cheap price, low cost. And then everything else I have, I'm gonna whip it up. You put it in ice cube trays, and then you just put it in a glass jar with a lid, and I'm gonna try it.
Um, like that was a trick question. I 1,000% I have made them, and you want to get you don't want to use an ice cube tray. You want to use something with smaller, right? Like you can get like the smaller ones
Right?
because
Yeah, yeah,
otherwise they're just too big. And they also work really good down the sink and down in
yes,
into the toilet as toilet scrubs. They're very multifaceted, and you can use different essential oils in them. Or if you
yes,
don't even want to use the essential oils, you can just use zest from oranges or lemons.
yep. Absolutely. See, everything's natural. I mean, you probably have a lemon tree outside that you can just go pick your lemons on, or somewhere.
Not here. I wish. I love lemons and how beautiful they are. Yeah,
Yeah, so I
super
like to
awesome.
do a lot of DIY stuff. I tried a lot of DIY stuff too. So on my social media platforms, which I will send to you guys, and you can find me. It's Go Green with Emily typically, or Emily the Detox Queen. Um, I put I have a lot of free PDFs that I send out to people if they want to know like the ingredients to a DIY thing that I'm trying. Or I have a DIY makeup setting spray that I use too. Yeah, so and I know our makeup has toxins in it, but I don't I I use the ones that don't have toxins in it, or maybe have one small one that's not going to affect you, because all makeup, unfortunately, makeup has like the what is that to keep it impacted or something to keep it together. I don't know. Has
Binder.
one small thing of not it's not harmful, but it has a toxin in it. But I try not to. There's lots of different makeup companies out there now that don't have toxins, and I try and I
Yeah.
use theirs. So.
You're talking about the emulsifier that binds it together.
Yes, the binder. Yeah. So I'm not a makeup person. I don't really know much about makeup. I just try my best to put it on.
I usually don't wear it. Occasionally I do, but I have absolutely I I I got about 400 pounds of soap in the basement that I made,
Good.
some body butters and some salts and stuff. I love the salts for the baths and whatnot. And yeah, like if you're inspired to making your own
Yes,
care products, can be inexpensive, but
absolutely.
but a lot
Mhm.
of times you're going to have to be really careful with the if you're not putting preservatives in it, you're going to have to make very small batches, and you're going to have to
Oh yeah,
refrigerate them because you
yeah,
can absolutely kill yourself with mold as well. So you have to be really careful on what you do and
yeah. They don't
research
last
the
as long as the stuff in the store because they have preservatives in them. Like my husband and I, we moved to Texas because we're growing an organic vegetable farm with vegetables um and microgreens and herbs. And so I told him I want to make our own stuff. We also planted 10 fruit trees. We're gonna get goats and chickens. I mean, I just
awesome.
want my own stuff. The only thing we don't have is the meat. So there's local farmers down the street, down the way here that do all that stuff, and they're really well meat. I mean, the best
You
meat you
just
can get.
trade. You trade.
Yeah, exactly. So I just told my husband, I'm like, we're gonna make our own stuff, especially bread. Like I love sourdough bread. We have our own starter and we make our own stuff now. It's just the way to go. Plus, it's a thing that you can do with your family, or if you're bored, one day it could be like a Sunday, afternoon or evening that you could gather the family around. We're gonna make bread today, or we're gonna do this. It's like, I don't know. I love science. It's like a science project, basically.
We're gonna learn canning.
Yes, I need to learn canning. Once I get the fruit trees, once they start producing, I'm gonna learn how to can.
Yeah, yeah.
Sure.
Like the more natural your kitchen, your house. I mean, like the upholstery in your car, the bed, the wallpaper, the I like everything.
Everything.
everything has levels of toxicity, and you just
Oh,
have to,
sure. The
you
clothes
have
you
to
wear,
do
your sheets
your
that your
best.
pillowcases, every
Oh God,
everything,
yes, the fabric that you wear, all of the fabric that you wear, right? Like the
all the fabric.
synthetic stuff. Yep. Yeah,
Yeah, it's incredible.
it really is. And your skin is your largest organ, and it absorbs everything. And
Quickly,
you
yeah,
just,
it only takes 26 seconds for a toxin to get into your bloodstream. It's that quick.
yeah,
It's unbelievable.
that is very fast. Yeah,
Too fast. It's really sad.
it is. All right, Emily. So you were telling me that you have a free gift.
Yes, I have a free PDF. It's about 5 common toxic chemicals that I think you should be removing from your home immediately. You can find that on my website at gogreenwithemily.com. Emily with an IE at the end, there's no Y. Um, and I can send it to you. That way you can send it out to people too.
Yeah, no, I'm going to put it into the show notes for everybody so that they can access it immediately without having to hunt me down. I really want to thank you for coming on to the show today and spreading your wisdom with us.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
You're welcome. Until next time, my cancer warriors, you know what I'm going to tell you to do. Go make your appointments for your annuals that you know you need to make. Good night.